Hi there, thank you so much for joining us today on the next episode of our series. Today I'm joined by the lovely Lucy Llewellyn, who is a Technology Academy graduate. She was also voted as one of the future stars within automation for 2020, so I'm really happy to have you on our series today. So first of all, it'd be good to kind of get a bit more of an understanding about you. So can you tell me a little bit about your role in a sentence?
Okay, so my role in a sentence, I guess what most people would call my role is software engineering test. So even though I'm on the grad scheme, my day-to-day is as an SEiT. So I tend to look after the test automation and test tooling for my team and the wider company.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, perfect. So obviously with you being on the graduate scheme, you're fairly new to kind of, the testing space. So I'd be really keen to understand what drew you into testing, or why did you get into testing?
Okay, so as most people will probably say, they fell into testing. If you told me 2 years ago I'd be a tester, I'd be like, I don't really know what that means. But when I joined Skybet on the grad scheme, you were kind of given a role. So you'd either be a software engineer, a tester, or like a DevOps engineer, that sort of thing. And I just happened to be a tester. And and it's worked out quite well because I really enjoy it, so that's good. But I had no idea what that even meant when I first joined.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I saw that was it Biomedical Science that you did prior to getting into technology? Sorry, that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess what kind of drew you to the role that you're in now? Then obviously I know that you mentioned that you kind of fell into it a little bit, but what's kind of drawn you into being in the SEiT position now? What do you love about it?
Okay, so as you mentioned, I did biomedical science as my undergrad degree, and in my second year of that I took an optional module that was called Introduction to Bioinformatics or something like that. And in that we learned like some basic Python programming, and we built this little tool that read a file with some like coordinates of some birds and then plotted where they were on this little map. And like, it sounded weird, but I thought it was really cool that I could just type away and suddenly this little tool that I built could do something. And then my friends that were doing the module with me didn't think it was as cool as me, and I was like, how do you not think this is so interesting? And then in my final year I decided to take another like technical module, and I was like, you know what, this could actually be like a career if I could find something in this. And then I found the grad scheme that I'm on and got accepted to that, and I was like, this is brilliant, because I didn't know half as much as you needed to be a professional in this industry, and I was like, I'm going to need somewhere that can kind of help me learn as I go. So that's worked out well that I got the grad scheme, because that is the focus of that, is learning on the job. And then from there I started off as like a test analyst, test engineer kind of position, and I feel like that went really well for me because it got me into testing and learning like how to test, what's expected in a test, what it all involves, and also got like to learn the systems that I was testing. It's obviously completely new to the company, to everything. I was like, I have no idea how any of this works. How am I meant to know if it's working well if I don't know how it works? So that got me into that. And then in my team there's another SEiT, and he saw that I was really into like learning to code and everything, so he kind of took me under his wing and was like, oh, I can help you become this SEiT and you can work on automation projects, making tools. And I was like, that sounds exactly like what I want to do. Then I just got into it like that, and it goes well because I love logic, love problem solving, and that is what being an SEiT is essentially.
Yeah, totally. And so obviously I know you've touched on it a little bit there, but what do you think makes a good tester then? And SEiT, I guess.
Well, I think, as I said, logic and problem solving, those are two key skills you really need, because you're testing the software that you're testing, but also as an SEiT you're testing the code that you've written to test the software. So it's kind of like never-ending cycle of testing going on. So if something goes wrong, you need to be able to get to the bottom of why it's gone wrong. And also, if the test does pass, if you're writing the test to test the software, you need to make sure it's passing because it's passed, not because your test is just like, yeah, everything's fine, when in fact it's not. So I mean, the past 2 days, me and the other SEiT in my team have spent a lot of our days on calls with each other trying to get to the bottom of something that's gone wrong in our tests. And I mean, you're a bit like a detective, as we like to call it. We go all up for an investigation, and that's what it is. You need to be able to kind of just go logically step by step to try and figure out what the problem is. And another thing I'd say is you need to be a really good communicator, because as a tester, you're kind of involved in a lot of the stages of the process of software development. So you'd be talking to a product owner or a stakeholder of a bit of software. You'll be talking to other testers, you'll be talking to the developers. So you need to be able to interact with lots of people and be comfortable with that. Because I know like a stereotype of people in tech of people that just love tapping away with their headphones on in a dark room. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy just sitting there with my headphones on sometimes. But you do need to be able to work with other people in your team and other teams to get a feature or a bit of software out to live as bug-free as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Love that. It's been quite a common theme, you know, it's not just tapping away behind the screen to a certain degree, you know, having that kind of conversational quality, I guess, of speaking to the right people and getting things done. So fantastic. I think that goes back to problem solving as well, doesn't it? That's the way around it. Fabulous. So obviously, you know, 2 years into your technology journey now, what would you give to, or what one piece of advice would you give to kind of the next generation of software testers that are looking to get into this?
I would say the most important thing, I think, is always asking questions, whether that be around testing, around technology, around the services you work on. Like, I cannot tell you the amount of things I've learned just by being like, hey, is this meant to do this? Or, hey, I don't really understand what this means. Can someone explain it? Because there's always something to learn. So definitely always ask questions.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. That's really, really helpful. And thank you so much for joining us today, Lucy. I hope that's been really helpful for everybody tuning in. I'm going to put some details below. So if you've got any questions, you know, about Lucy's career up to press, just pop us a message. And thank you very much.
Thank you.